Day, who is also an MSNBC analyst, she came out and talked about how this had so negatively affected her. Here's what she said on the show.
We have tens of millions of Trump voters who continue to believe that their rights as citizens are under threat by simple virtue of having to share democracy with others. I think as long as they see Americanness as the same as one with whiteness, this is going to continue. We have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy, but how to separate Americanness, America, from whiteness. Until we can confront that and talk about that, this is really going to continue. I was on lockdown this weekend, visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flags, and in some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this.
How do you get that from the American flag? In all seriousness, you put American flags up, so that means that the country is, the flag is whiteness? It's incredible how prescient a person Rush was. It's remarkable that he had these people down to the atomic level. He understood how they functioned, what would trigger them, what would upset them. When was the last time we saw a vehicle driving along with a Biden-Harris bumper sticker and an American flag flying from it? I don't know. Maybe you've seen that. I don't know. But, Rush talked about the impact of the American flag. He said this.
This is U.S. News and World Report. U.S. flag only boosts GOP. The U.S. flag makes people think and vote Republican. Just like 4th of July celebrating. No wonder Democrats and other leftists are always so eager to burn the American flag. Because it tends to motivate people to vote and think Republican. Just a brief exposure to an image of the American flag shifts voters, even Democrats, to Republican beliefs, attitudes, and voting behavior, even though most don't believe it'll impact their politics. According to a new 2-year study just published in the scholarly Psychological Science magazine. What's more, according to the 3 authors from the University of Chicago, Cornell University, and Hebrew University, the impact had staying power. A single exposure to an American flag resulted in a significant increase in participants' Republican voting intentions, voting behavior, political beliefs, and implicit and explicit attitudes, with some effects lasting as long as 8 months. Folks, go out and put a flag up front in the house. Everybody get a flag out there. Because it's a double whammy. A, it'll kick off the Democrats, so your house might be at risk. But it'll grow conservatism. Look at this study, 2-year study, 3 universities, 3 scholars. I'll read this to you again. A single exposure to an American flag resulted in a significant increase in participants' Republican voting intentions, voting behavior, political beliefs, and implicit and explicit attitudes, some effects lasting 8 months. These results constitute the first evidence that non-conscious priming effects from exposure to a national flag can bias the citizenry toward one political party and can have considerable durability. All this explains so much. That's why the left is out there burning flags all day long. Why they don't like the 4th of July. This is classic. Now, this is the first study to look at the political impact on Americans who have seen an American flag, and it seems to back up another recent Harvard University professor study that found that kids who attended a July 4th parade ended up leaning Republican when they grew up. This is not that Harvard study. This turns out it's not even related to it. It turns out to be a companion study. It's a separate study. Now you can see where this is headed, folks. Soon, folks, it's going to be against the law to have flags near polling stations. What do you bet it won't be long before the left and the Democrats suggest, after looking at this, that you can't use the American flag in a campaign ad? Don't be surprised. I know these people. symbol of America, flag, but patriotism, be much more associated with the Republican Party than the Democrat? That's a rhetorical question, of course, but still one worth asking. Why does this happen? 4th of July, young kids, turns them into Republicans. Seeing the American flag boosts people's support of and intention to vote. Well, how does that happen? It can only happen not because of the Republicans so much, but because of the Democrats. Obviously, what the Democrats stand for. For this study, the scholars asked mostly Democrat-leaning voters to join in the survey conducted just before. This was before the inoculation of Obama. All were given a survey to fill out. Half of those surveys included a small picture of an American flag in the top left corner. 90% said that they believed their voting behavior would not be influenced by the presence of a flag, but after asking how they did vote, the study concluded this. In contrast to the beliefs of the participants in the pilot study, the results from the experiments reported here show that exposure to the American flag introduces a bias for the Republican Party over the Democrat Party. In one experiment, we tested whether subtle exposure to the flag shifted people's beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors toward the Republican end of the political continuum, and we found that a single exposure to a small American flag during deliberation about voting intentions prior to a general election led to significant and robust changes in participants' voting intentions, voting behavior, political attitudes, all in the politically conservative direction. So you see, far beyond voting Republican, it means voting conservative. It means we are a center-right country, and it means that we are a majority of the people and of the thinking in this country. It's a funny little story here. It's nevertheless important, worthwhile, very instructive, and just another reason why go ahead and feel optimistic. We're not alone. We're not the minority. We are the country. We just need more and more elected representation. Who we are.
Okay, now I have to jump back to what set all of this off. And in the interest of accuracy, and we know Rush was about precision. I'm not doing it myself. Precision and accuracy, and was about getting to the truth of things. Mara Gay said that she was offended when she saw American flags all over the pickup truck driving out on Long Island. But she used a particular word, and I think we need to explore what she means by that. Now, I know what an expletive is. We can't say them on the radio. You know what an expletive is. You've heard them, no doubt, especially after President Trump was elected by people who didn't like him. But Mara Gay, she introduced a totally new term into this conversation. Go ahead, Mike, fire it.
I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with explicatives against Joe Biden.
Okay, explicative. Now, I'm going to believe that she meant to say it. And an explicative is something that would really be something that is welcome. The definition of an explicative, serving to explicate. That is, to explain logically what is contained in the subject. An explicative proposition. In other words, you were to say, Joe Biden is a socialist. Well, you might be making the argument as an explicative. You might be deploying the word the explicative there by making the case against